Considering the spooky season of October is upon us, I thought I would talk about one of the scariest things on the planet, Xbox.
Oh shit.
Now, I'm a gamer. I love all games and all consoles. I grew up as a PlayStation player, as a PlayStation lover and fan, but I also was an avid enjoyer of both Xbox and Nintendo. While I sexually identify as a loyal Sony pony, I think that the fall of Xbox has to be one of the saddest things I have ever seen. Xbox used to be near the top of video game consoles, and now all it is a skeleton of what it used to be. In the early 2000s, Microsoft entered the video game console industry by promoting the brand new Xbox, which was supposed to be way more powerful and superior to the PS2. And while it was true that the Xbox was way more powerful than the PS2 could ever be, the PS2 still won the console war for it being more convenient having a DVD player built in. And even though Microsoft and Xbox lost that console war, they still succeeded and had a little victory of their own because they became one of the biggest names in the console industry. And this carried over into the next generation, the Xbox 360, which became one of the best consoles to ever exist. While the PlayStation 3 was far superior in power, the Xbox 360 had a far less disastrous release. Both of these consoles had disastrous releases, if we're going to be honest. The Xbox 360 had the Red Ring of Death problem, with a lot of the launch editions getting the Red Ring of Death very quickly, and the PS3's launch edition essentially just melted most of the time. But even with both consoles kind of being a potato at launch, this was still the best console generation that we ever got and probably will ever get. And a big reason for this console generation still being known as the best generation ever is because of the games. A lot of big bangers like Grand Theft Auto 4 came out on both consoles and sold very well, but the big hitters was of course the console exclusives for both platforms. And this helped Xbox a lot because while PlayStation had games like The Last of Us, Xbox had games like Halo, Forza, Gears of War. They were doing amazing. And while many people consider PlayStation to be the winner of that console generation, me personally, I call it a tie because both consoles were absolutely amazing and had absolute bangers to go with them. But at the end of the day, a tie is really a win for Xbox because this was only their second generation console and they were already going toe to toe with Sony, which made the next console generation the most important ever. Between Xbox's super fast rise to the top of the industry and the fact that all games were starting to go online, the next console generation would essentially define the rest of gaming forever. Sony would end up releasing the PlayStation 4 with honestly one of the best launches to ever exist, as it was flawless, there was really nothing wrong with the consoles, and it came out with a bunch of good exclusives. And Microsoft's answer to this was the Xbox One, a game console with absolutely no exclusives at launch and surrounded by a shit ton of criticism. The first thing people criticized was the lack of power compared to the PlayStation 4, which really wasn't that different, but was still a letdown considering Xbox always prided themselves on the amount of power that their previous two consoles had. But this wasn't even the worst part. The thing that really took Xbox out of the console wars for that generation was the fact that the console launched with the necessity to be online and connected to the internet 24/7. This made everybody mad because a lot of people at the time did not have access to the internet, and people who did have access to the internet didn't like the fact that they needed to have their console connected to it all the time. Xbox never recovered from this, and it did not help that the rest of the generation was filled with crappy exclusives. They ruined the Halo series by taking away offline split screen. The Gears of War series got ruined with a fourth installment that just wasn't that good, and the Forza games, they were just way too inconsistent, with some of them being bangers and some of them being total dog shit. And with Xbox making an underpowered console with absolutely no exclusives that were worth playing, it really caused Sony to win this console generation in the biggest landslide possible. And now, we're 5 years into the new console generation. And oh my god, it is the saddest thing I've ever seen. While both consoles in this new console generation are struggling with their games and everything, Xbox is beyond struggling. Xbox's new console, the Series X and S, have absolutely no games worth playing at this point. All those exclusive games that used to make Xbox so worth it and made people go and buy the consoles instead of a PlayStation, yeah, they sold all those to Sony now, and Sony's going to be having them on their new PlayStation consoles at some point. One of the only reasons to ever buy an Xbox console was always the exclusives, and now they don't even have those because they gave them to Sony. And besides exclusives, the only other reason to buy an Xbox console was because of Xbox Game Pass, which now is not even worth it anymore. The Xbox Game Pass enticed a lot of people to actually go and buy Xboxes and pay $20 a month for this Game Pass because it seemed like a really good deal. You'd get a bunch of games and access to games on launch and a bunch of stuff for just $20, and it was a really good deal. Just like everything else Xbox related, they had to go and screw it up by raising the price by $10. They added $10 to the price and really added nothing to the service. Oh wait, my bad, they did add something to the service. They added Ubisoft Classics and EA Play. You know, Ubisoft Classics, the catalog of all these old Ubisoft games that were good 10 years ago. Yeah, you can play those now on your Xbox. Woo! Oh, and you can't forget EA Play. Now you can play great titles like 10-year-old Need for Speed games and NBA Live 19. If you think I'm exaggerating about how bad this is and monumentally disastrous this is for Xbox, I'm not, because this is so bad that Xbox's servers started to shut down and crash because of so many people canceling their subscriptions. Not only did they sell off the exclusives that made the console worth buying, and not only did they raise the price of Xbox Game Pass, which also made the console kind of worth buying, but they also raised the price of the console itself to $800. This is a 5-year-old console, by the way, that started off at $500. I have never seen a console in my life go up in price during its generation. And it's not only the console that they raised the price of, they also raised the price of the games that go for it, and every accessory known to man. Like, really, Xbox at this point is just giving the biggest middle finger to their fan base by selling off their exclusives and raising prices. Like, imagine being a loyal Xbox player, and I know there's probably a lot of those out there that may be watching this video, but just imagine going and buying the new console so that you can play all these exclusives and access the Game Pass, but then all of a sudden all these exclusives go to the PS5, which is a better console, and they raise the price of the Game Pass. And after all of this, you know what Microsoft's response is? A bunch of sympathy speeches. You know your company is absolutely cooked when your CEO comes out at every game conference and press conference and game event just to give a speech on how dogshit they are. He constantly comes out and tells everybody in the world that, oh, we lost the last console generation and it was a big deal. And he uses that as an excuse on why Xbox sucks now. Instead of trying to give hope and give players a reason to think that your company is going to get itself out of the grave, all you do is just go up and say, yeah, we suck now, we lost the last console generation, and we're never gonna recover from it. I mean, at this point, Microsoft isn't even trying to get better. They are just sitting there and spreading their cheeks and letting Sony and Nintendo raw dog them. Yes, Xbox is dead, and the cause of death is a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the nutsack, and it's sad. But anyways, thank you all for watching my crappy little video. I hope that you liked it. If you did, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss another upload. But yeah, imagine if everyone watching this video subscribed. That would be like 4 new subscribers, so you should probably do that. But anyways, thank you. I'll see all you beautiful people in the next one. Have fun. Spooky, scary October, baby! Woo!